when you perfected the scale, go to massive growth, which is scaling. Multiply and amplify it. Don't just plow through all three of those things with lack of knowledge because you think you're smarter than somebody else in the room.
What can you share with me and with your audience about structured success and the value around it wrapped in a story or an experience that really brings this all home for you?
That's a good question. I have so many stories.
I know you do.
There's a methodology. There's a way of thinking and a way of doing that can allow you, while you're trying to build something, do it so much more enlightening or more joyfully. And everyone gets to go on that ride. There's nothing more incredible than growth, controlled growth, intentional growth. What the total intention of structured success is to take all those business elements, all the authors and mentors over the last 15, 20 years I've had the privilege to work with, and distill it down to a thing that can create a huge impact because you have a way of thinking and speaking and doing that's in total alignment with your team. Somebody has to own that domain in your business. And you simply need to ask yourself while you're hearing me talk is, who is the person I trust the most, who is the most intentional about creating that in our business, and how much have we been able to amplify that impact of what we're trying to do? And if you're honest with yourself, you're probably caught up in the doing what you're doing, and you're not caught up in who you're doing it with and making sure they're at their absolute best and representing you at the absolute best, and how you're doing it so people can learn to do it bigger, better, faster so that you can accelerate your growth.
Can you think back to a experience of failure in your career where if you would have had this knowledge, like explain the failure and apply, if you would have had this knowledge, how you would have made a different decision that would have allowed you to propel forward even faster?
Yeah, so, you spend a lot of time talking about your successes. And while I had this unbelievable success, in the exact same moment, I literally pissed away $8 million trying to go into another industry and doing it. And what I learned is I did not follow my own fundamentals. And I could not onboard because I was trying to go straight from zero to scaling in an industry that had never really done that, didn't have the systems, didn't have the tools, didn't have the resources, too many technology choices, none of them aggregating into a single point of information, just so much complexity that I actually abandoned many of my own principles because I thought I knew better and I could make it work out at the end. I thought I could just adapt what I'd already built and move it into another vertical, and I abandoned the principles of the 25 calls a day, perfecting them every time, duplicating them 3 times over, taking the best person that's doing that, doing it again, and I went straight to hiring 50 people. None of them understood how to work together. None of them understood the complexity of the businesses because it was a complex deliverable. And I did it in a marketplace that the laws kept changing how you can generate revenue and how you can share in the increased value. And so it ended up just being a complete disaster. The first thing I learned is understand exactly what allowed you to succeed the first time. So we built that funnel. Benchmark every single new opportunity against that to see if it matches to it and where there's deviations. Go to people where there's deviations and understand how to fix those before you pull the trigger in doing it. And then bridge the delta between knowledge and no knowledge, and keep filtering until you find the thing that perfectly matches, and then ease into it by starting and then scale it. And then when you perfected the scale, go to massive growth, which is scaling. Multiply and amplify it. Don't just plow through all three of those things with lack of knowledge because you think you're smarter than somebody else in the room. So it was very humbling.
It was this funny position that you were in because you had just had this incredible success and you were methodical throughout the entire process of the company that you sold, and you still are. It's just you've talented at this. It's not by luck that this happened. However, at the same time that success was happening, you also experienced a professional failure within 6 or 8 months of this win that it was funny timing.
Yeah, I'm
because
shutting one company down and I'm selling the next for one of the highest valuations any company's ever been bought for.
Yeah, I think that's what I would like to just get out of this is there are all of these concepts on all of these teachings, and it's not coming from this place of you figured this all out.
No,
and you've
the
never
structured
had failure.
success is directly from the failure.
Yes, you would not be creating structured success if it wasn't for the failure and the understanding of what you did to succeed the first time and create a model and replicate a model that allowed you to do that.
What I learned is the complexity of my original model. And even in my leadership program, when I launched the new company, I could not drive the same level of success. I tried to take a team of people straight from transactional to transformative with no structure, and you're hiring them out of school.
Yes.
So the whole thing, looking back on it, was ridiculous. What I learned from it, though, is if I would have had a better structure to find people, onboard them faster, make sure they understood with absolute clarity what we're moving to and why we're moving to it, and I had the business principles in place to validate that what I was trying to do could be done before I did it, right? Then we would have picked something that we could have succeeded in, which is what we're doing now. But without all that learning, it's the best $8 million of education that I think I've ever gotten, and what was born out of the pain associated and the self-reflection is I did it the wrong way, and I didn't do it the way we manage all the businesses that we manage that are growing at 3.5 to 15, 20 times X their peer groups, and I try to do it too fast. So the beautiful part of this is I went backwards and said, where did I make all those mistakes? What did I do right in the first business? What did I do, well, in my third business, I should say? What did I do wrong in the fourth business? And what would I do differently going forward, which is exactly what I did when my second business sold and I started Audigy. I had very specific principles that I wanted to make sure that I abided by, which allowed us to be so successful. I abandoned those principles in the attempt to do something bigger, better, faster. And I taught myself that if you don't have the structure in place and you can't more quickly identify the opportunities and use the structure as filters to go through things, the speed in which you want to go to scaling can't happen.